And I'm waiting for the notification. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning into a very, very special edition of Off the Record, the People's Podcast this evening. We got a guest who I've been working on for quite some time, and our brother Wakeel Allah took my invitation, and he's honoring us with his presence this evening. First of all, assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum salam. Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan Kareem, sir. Walaikum salam to Teresa Pearl. Thank you for always showing support as well, ma'am. Brother Wakeel, first of all, this is an honor. It's an extreme honor. I want to say before we get started, my sophomore year of college, you showed so much love by I was doing a history class. I'm a history major, and I needed some documentation of to defend my argument on point number 12. And you drove to my college and gave me the books for free. And I said, "Oh man, this is a brother. Nobody knew about it or nothing." And you helped me, pass that class with just being a brother, man. I thank you very much, brother Wakil, for that.
Oh, yes, sir. The honor is mine, beloved brother. The honor is mine, always, brother Joshua. And brother, as of course, in the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, all praise is due to Allah who came in the divine person, the Master Prophet Muhammad, to whom holy praise is due forever. And all praise is due to Allah for giving us the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, his living Christ. And we are forever thankful for these two. To give it to us, our dear beloved brother, the Honorable Minister Min Farrakhan, the divine reminder in our midst. So beloved brother, assalamu alaikum to you and your wonderful audience that you have. Brother, you say the honor is yours, but the honor is definitely mine. It's like Master Prophet Muhammad said he would climb a mountain 40 miles high.
Yes, sir.
For me to drive a few miles, brother, and share the wisdom with you, brother. I would do much more if Allah can empower us to do more. So anything for my brother, I want for my brother what I want for myself, as we are taught in the Nation of Islam. So it's a great honor. You've been doing a powerful work, dealing with the history, uncovering the many different stories of brothers and sisters in the Nation of Islam and friends and supporters. So brother, the honor is mine. It's good to know that the future is in good hands. And much respect to you and your family, your dear father, Brother Minister Sharif Muhammad. Brother, got great honor and respect for him. I can't wait to dig into his book. Because I know it just came out. I got to dig into that. Because me and him talked about that before as history with the Dope Busters. Very powerful history. Yeah, brother, I got some good stories about how I was thoroughly impressed by your father as a supreme captain of the Nation of Islam.
Yes, sir.
My first impression. Yes, sir.
Okay, wonderful. And thank you all for your comments. Sister Teresa Person, Ramadan Kareem, Brother Michael Muhammad saying Ramadan Mubarak. Walaikum salam, Ramadan Kareem to you all. Okay, let's get straight into it. Brother Wakil, when did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
Yes, brother. I grew up, first of all, I will say this. I grew up in Plainfield, New Jersey. Born in '69, so I was kind of born into a city where there was a lot of things that was happening, a lot of things was going on as related to Black America. And this city was what you would call like Parliament Funkadelic, as George Clinton would say, was a chocolate city, became a chocolate city. So I grew up in an all Black community, all Black city. And the power brokers in that city, for the most part, was all affiliated with the Nation of Islam or the Black Power movement. And I had an aunt who was a member of the Nation of Islam in Temple number 80, a mosque number 80 in Plainfield, New Jersey, Brenda Muhammad. So I was exposed to the teachings coming up initially through them. But at that phase, that's when everybody was going through the transition with Imam W.D. Muhammad. So I didn't know verbatim, what the teachings were exactly. However, I only had to stick around for 2 years, from 75 to 77 to 78. And then, we noticed that there was a movement going on in our city. And it was a brother who came to the city to teach. And I'm learning about this brother for the first time. We talking about like the late 70s. And it was Minister Louis Farrakhan. So Minister Louis Farrakhan, he had come to speak in Plainfield. And I believe that was the first time that he spoke as it related to the resurrection of the Nation of Islam.
Mm.
And when he came to the city, I believe he was by himself, per what I was told, per the history. And some of the brothers that was there in Plainfield, that was from the Nation of Islam, that was ready to stand up to resurrect the Nation of Islam, to rebuild the Nation of Islam. Once they saw the Honorable Minister Min Farrakhan speaking the word. And so these brothers, and the brother is Minister Abdul Kareem Muhammad, aka the General.
Yes, sir.
We all know this great brother. And so really through him, he was like the figurehead for the city, you know, and we were young, and many of us, we were in what you would call, I guess they would call them gangs, but we called them social clubs at the time. But we had these different youth organizations. And just being on my bike, you know, 10 or 11, just riding through the city, you would encounter some of the brothers, the FOI, you know, they were suited and booted. The brothers had the slick waves, and that's what we were calling it, the temple.
Yes, sir.
And they were just high-powered, powerful wisdom, very militant, you know, the maneuvers and everything. And I remember I had saw Brother Minister Kareem. And I remember I was outside of this little ice cream place. This little ice cream place on West Front Street. And he came up to me. He was like, young brother, you know, started talking like that. And I was like, oh, wow, this is brother. At the time, you know, I know him as Mr. Cathcart. And it's so funny because I guess that's a slave name, but I thought that was a Muslim name because of who he was.
Yes, sir.
And, you know, he just told me, he was very militant and speaking to me. And he said to me, he said, I remember this. He said, brother, if somebody was to touch one hair on your head, I could have a whole army come to protect you. Right? I didn't really know him. You know what I mean? So I thought that was deep. And then, you know, it came out that he knew Brother Farrakhan. And I thought that was just like, really? You know, because I didn't really think anybody could know such a great, powerful figure. In my mind, they said he would come in on helicopters. It was all these different urban legends about, you know, Brother Farrakhan. And when you're in a youth organization and you look up and you see the FOI, you aspire to be like, oh, you know what? That's how we're supposed to be. So that's kind of how I initially was exposed to the visual, to the example, you know. And then I was walking down the street one day, going to school, and on this abandoned building, had this beautiful picture. You know, it was a beautiful poster, and it was light blue background. This brother looked like an angel, you know, and it was Brother Farrakhan. That's when I really got a good look at him, you know. So I was observing, like, wow, this is that brother. And I think he was coming to New York, or he had something coming out at the time. I don't know if it was a Unity album, but it looked like that was the backdrop to the poster that I saw. So I was just inspired via the visuals of the Nation of Islam and the example. And I can't forget this, brother, and that delicious bean pie the Muslims are when we were young, brother, that was something else. Like, man. And Brother Alpha Farrakhan, he's the one that make the pie. It was the Alpha bean pies. So being exposed to it there, but I really got into the meat of it. Like I said, we were in youth organizations, street organizations. So at one point in time, the different gangs, we all kind of morphed over into the 5% Nation. So when the teachers of the 5%ers had come, we didn't really delineate, you know, the two, except that they say, okay, well, this right here is for us. This is for the youth, you know, because we were too young, 13 and 14. You couldn't join the temple at that age. They would let you go down there and visit, but you couldn't join. And we probably wasn't trying to join anyway. A handful of people. If you know, we were young, 13, 14.
Yes, sir.
We didn't have the discipline. And so, but a couple of brothers did eventually in our high school joined the temple, you know, when it was like in senior year, you know, so some of them joined like at 16, you can get permission from your parents to get joined. So I think one brother joined at 16, then another brother joined when we were seniors at 17. But I got the meat of the teaching and the history or the lessons, or my knowledge of the lessons through that vehicle, the 5%ers, which in Plainfield, was all synonymous. We was all one focus group, you know. So even as a 5%er, I had recognized, you know, Master Muhammad, Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and Minister Farrakhan, you know, as the leaders of our people. So that's how I initially was exposed to it. But I got real deep into it at 14. My freshman year in high school is when brothers shared the lessons. And as young people, you know, we learned the lessons like on the street. And reading Message to the Black Man, The Fall of America, How to Eat to Live, and going to the temple and listening to Minister Farrakhan tapes. I mean, those tapes were like gold, brother. Like gold, like how hip hop is so fascinating. At that time, you know, one of the elements, there's 5 elements to hip hop. The 5th element is knowledge, right? So the conscious community, heavy into the knowledge, the 5th element, and that's what we kind of represented as young brothers and sisters in Islam. And as you know, from there came a lot of cultural aspects of the hip hop movement and the hip hop culture. You know, going to Brother Rakim, the Big Daddy Kane, Queen Latifah, I mean, world famous Supreme Team, Just Ice, Karis One, Poor Righteous Teachers, Brand Nubians, everybody came out of that experience. And that experience in our area all started out of Temple number 7 and Temple number 25. Temple number 7 in New York and Temple number 7 in 25. Those were the 2 powerhouse temples, you know, or mosques that really, really solidified the consciousness for that community in New York, in New Jersey. So that's part of my initial orientation into the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, specifically as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches it as the example. So that's how we got it. And been here ever since, brother. And I said, you know, when I was young, I said, when I get of age and get enough discipline, we joined in the temple.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay.
You know, brother? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Brother Ronald, for your comments. And thank you, Brother Janelle. Walaikum salam. When you say the 5 elements of hip hop, I'm younger than you, so pardon my ignorance of that. Can you please put us on to, you know, what are the 5 elements of hip hop?
Yes, sir. Well, initially people spoke of the 4 elements, right?
Okay.
And one of the first elements was like, I would say DJing. Let me start there. DJ. So DJing, right? And another element is MCing.
Okay.
Or rap,
okay.
Right. Then the other element was breakdancing, right? So the breakdance, the up rocking, right?
Okay.
Then the unsung element of today was graffiti. So art, so the street art and the street culture. And then the 5th element was knowledge, because again, as we dealt with these things in 1970s, if you look at all of them, Kool Herc, who's considered the godfather of hip hop, Africa Bambaataa in the Zulu Nation, everybody that dealt with the origins of hip hop were influenced by the teachers of the Nation of Islam. You know, again, specifically Temple number 7. And even in Temple number 7, Honorable Minister Lewis, from Malcolm X even to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, if you look at, he had the 7 speeches, right? So Brother Farrakhan would come on the radio, you would hear Brother Farrakhan again, his tapes. So that was always circulating within the hip hop community. And I would say that was definitely the 5th element, because the Nation of Islam, even these people in hip hop, the founders of hip hop, some of them were from the families of the Nation of Islam. You know, then of course with the 5%ers, the Kool Herc, you know, today Kool Herc, you'll see him wear a universal flag of Islam on his shirt sometimes. And you hear him talk about, you know, how it all started, that brothers be around speaking on Islam at the block parties and everything. So yeah, so those are the 5 elements. And the 5th element, we really want to pronounce, you know.
Yes, sir.
That's what we need as a people. That's going to be the saving grace. That's part of the arts and culture. There's the mental aspect. You got the mental, the physical, and the spiritual. So the mental and the spiritual, right now, we need to put a huge focus on that. And that's heating again. Where it all started, from where it starts is where it ends. And we got to land on the teachings. So we're
Praise be to
still,
Allah.
you know, the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan is still the pinnacle, the example. And today, hip hop artists all gravitate toward the Nation of Islam and the
Absolutely.
Muslims and Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan. And no matter what you think, no matter how you look at somebody, and I think you do a good job at this, brother, and dealing with understanding and understanding that all these different facets of entertainment across the board, you know, from age to creed, regardless of the religious orientation, and even ethnicity. Because, you know, Mr. Farrakhan, he attract my man Chris from Coldplay. You know,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
all
sir.
kind
Yes,
of
sir.
people break their neck to get to the minister, you know, and rightfully so. So you see brothers like Young Thug, all the brothers, no matter
Yes,
what
sir.
you think about these people. I've never ran across, in fact, in me being around in the industry, I never ran across anybody that just scoffed at the knowledge.
Mm,
Like I've been around brothers and they all sat quietly and respectfully to take in the
mm,
knowledge.
mm.
So, you know, like we say, it's a big field. Big field's awake, the wide awake man. So it's fields to work out in. And that's the field we got to go to. The lost
Praise,
guy.
praise be to Allah. Brother Ronald was breaking down, was bearing witness to. He's like you,
Mhm.
a founding somebody who's from that generation of the founding members of hip hop. My sister Miriam says, "Assalamu alaikum," and thank you, brother David. Okay, can we spoke? This is why I really wanted to ask you, brother Wakeel, because we come in, we got a lot of history. How can you the 5%? I see almost the majority of people who I've interviewed from the East Coast came out of the 5% nation.
Right.
What there has been a breakdown of communication to the newer generation where I'm from the Midwest, so it'd be Naperville, but like the suburbs of Chicago, there wasn't a big 5%
Mhm.
influence, nor in Atlanta, there's not a big 5% influence. What is it about the 5% nation that attracts young people? And more, of course, more on the East Coast, but what is it about them and how can we use that to still influence people who don't have the discipline of the nation?
Yes, sir. Um, the origin of the 5%ers, and I always say this to our brothers and sisters in the ranks, that the origins of the 5%ers, it was founded by a group of FOI and MGT.
Mm,
So FOI and MGTs founded the 5%ers.
mm.
So you got brother Clarence 13X,
Yes,
you know,
sir.
who's known as Allah the Father, who was the primary founder, you know. Then you have his companions, if you will. You had a brother named John 37X,
Okay.
who was known as Abu Shahid. You had another brother named James 103X, How, who was known as Forsyth Akbar. We called him Old Man Justice.
Yes, sir. Yes,
And
sir.
another brother, and a younger brother that they taught while they was in the temple, a brother by the name of Eugene White, who became known as Ubika, who became a very prominent imam later on in the years in the community of Imam W.D. Muhammad, as he came through the nation, 5% the Nation of Islam, then went on to that community, but was always
Yes,
a powerful brother, the lover of his people. So, and then I gotta say the sisters too. Queen Mother Dora 3X. She was the wife of Brother Clarence 13X, and
okay.
she's the one that brought him into the knowledge itself. He
Mm.
went into the service. That's why it's good to have a good Black woman.
Yes,
He
sir.
went into the service. He fought in the Korean War. And when he came home, there was his wife, an MGT, of the Nation of Islam. The first thing
Mm.
she said is, "Hey, you got to come down here with me to the temple." And he went down to the temple, saw the great, powerful minister Malcolm X. That was all she wrote, you know. And that was the day, pretty much, he started his path, you know, into the knowledge of himself and became a very dynamic person. Um, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the greatest knowledge that any of us can search for is the knowledge of God and the knowledge of self,
Yes, sir.
right? That is at the core of what we refer to as the 5%ers. Now, I'm almost hesitant to say that because I'll be remiss of saying that that is the core, really, of the teachings of the Nation of Islam, as I said, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And we were just blessed through the permission of Allah and the person of Master Prophet Muhammad that this knowledge would be exposed to us in the wilderness of North America. And eventually, Allah would compel a group of individuals to see a need in the community, to see that there was youth running up and down the street that were thirsty for it. So the thing is, as I was saying, in today's current environment, The youth are thirsty for it. Naturally, by nature, they're curious, right? And Brother Clarence 13X work was relatively easy as far as exposing us to it. And by that, I mean, the youth in Harlem, New York in 1964 and 1965 were involved in a real powerful movement, in a powerful struggle, just like it is today, in dealing with the police force, a corrupt police force in New York City. As you know, you got white officers, and we know the history of police brutality.
Yes,
and when the Nation of Islam set up the temple at number 7, and one of the pastimes of New York City was, and I'm sure you've seen this on movies, where people would get out on their soapbox, if you will. They would stand on the soapbox. They would stand on the step ladders. They would be down there teaching revolution, from Marcus Garvey to Prophet Noble Drew Ali and the Moors, but really specifically the Nation of Islam. The Nation of Islam, Brother Minister Malcolm X, you would see him right there on 127th Street in 5th Avenue. No, pardon me, 7th Avenue, right? Right where the Harlem State Building is, where you see Brother Malcolm X, and they got those big stands out in the street. He's up there, he got that big sign behind him. And if you always see him, you'll see in the background Brother Minister Farrakhan, the young Brother Minister Farrakhan, Brother Minister James Shabazz, at Temple number 25 in North New Jersey, like Minister Henry there at number 7. And you even see our great dear brother Thomas Jihad.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thomas Jihad, brother James 7X, brother Najee, all these powerful out of New York City, brother. Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah.
So the youth were dealing with a skirmish at that time with the police authorities, because these youth was inspired by Brother Minister Malcolm X. So they went from the church mentality now to, an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, right? You practice peace, but if somebody swing on you, as we would say, send them to the graveyard. That was just a saying.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so the youth had enough. They heard Brother Minister Malcolm. They would go to Temple number 7 to hear the teachers again, just like I would many years later. These brothers were 13, 14, 15. So many of them couldn't join the temple, but they can go down there and visit. And they took the knowledge that they had and they went out in the community. These brothers eventually became known as the Harlem Six, right? They have a movie about the Harlem Six, the torture of mothers. And these brothers became widely known in the country and in the world even for a skirmish that they had with the police, a battle that they had with the police. And many of them had taken on Muslim names, as we all did, as youth, in the 5 percenters. They took on Muslim names. This is before the 5 percenters was actually in existence. This is the precursor to the 5 percenters.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I'm sorry to be long-winded, brother.
No. I'm fucking all this up.
I get so much of the intricate detail of the history. But these brothers was calling themselves by a Muslim name, Jihad, Amin, Latif. So they all took on these Muslim names because there was already brothers and sisters of the FOI and the MGT that was out in the streets teaching them martial arts, teach them a little piece of the lessons, and etc. Teach them about the knowledge of who they are, the black man, and teach them about the knowledge of the white man, and what's going on in America. So these brothers already had the seed planted in them, but they didn't have anybody that would directly mentor them, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And again, this is 64, 65. So in March of 1965, that's when Brother Minister, in December, Minister Malcolm X was suspended, right? And as a result of serving his suspension, due to various reasons, he ended up, leaving the Nation of Islam, leaving the mosque, I should say, the temple. And he went on a trip. He went over to Mecca, of course, then he spent some time over in the East. But he already had set this fire in place with these youth through the nation. So it was at that point where the youth got into the fight with the police, right? And the police beat the youth down, and the youth was fighting the police with bricks, rocks, sticks, and everything they could find, right? And when Minister Malcolm came back, they had to have a press conference because they was like, look, these people call themselves the Blood Brothers. Is this your new group? Is this your new group, your Mau Mau? Because they was calling them the Mau Mau. Because
Yes,
the
sir.
Malcolm,
Yes, sir.
the revolutionaries over in Kenya, over
Yes,
in
sir.
Africa,
Yes, sir. Allah
and
Akbar.
no one
Yes,
took
sir.
heads. And so they felt that these youth was inspired by Minister Malcolm, which is true, but he didn't have anything to do with them as far as an organization. And when he came back, being that he was already involved in what he was involved with in his controversy, he said, no, I don't know them, you know. And they felt kind of betrayed that Malcolm X was kind of hands off, you know, when they asked about them in the press conference. Brother Malcolm said, well, you know, blood brothers, you know, what was his exact statement? But he said, any black man is a blood brother of mine, right? So he kind of stated that. So these youth, known as the Blood Brothers and the Harlem Six, they was walking around again, shaving their heads, salam alaikum. They was wearing a star and crescent. And so Brother Clarence, that was at the time when he found himself outside of the temple, right? And while he was outside of the temple, he ran into younger brothers that was influenced by the Harlem Six, right? And this is another thing I'll just be transparent about. The 5%ers, we would always say, well, you got to come to where we're at, right? So, okay, y'all nice, I got suits and bow ties, but y'all ain't coming where we at because we on the corner smoking reefer. You know, we out here drinking, we getting high, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Wherever we at, you know, we doing our thing as youth. And the thing that Brother Clarence did, Father Allah, he would go into those different haunts, if you will. You know, he would find a youth and kind of teach them at that level, right? At the level they was at. So he ran into the brothers. And we call these brothers the firstborn of the 5%ers. Some say the first 9 born. And there was a brother named Kareem. It was a brother named Uhuru. It was a brother named Naheem. A group of brothers, Akbar, Salam, Bilal. It was a group of brothers. And so he taught these brothers initially in a gambling den that they frequented right across the street from where Malcolm would have his stand at. So you see the proximity.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's a basement where people go down there and they would gamble. And that's where the brothers first met him. And this was the big thing. This what made the whole difference to me why the 5%ers just took off. Because Brother Clarence was kind of the first one to say, okay, you want to learn this? Then boom, here you go. Know this by heart. He gave the lessons out. So he gave a student in Rome, who's the original man? Who's the colored man? What's the population of the original nation all over the world? So the whole 9.
Okay, yes, sir.
Okay? And that's what created a fraternity and a strong camaraderie because he connected them directly with the root knowledge of Allah and the person of Master Fraud Muhammad and the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad. So that right there would captivate any black man really at any age. But when you're a youth and impressionable, you already see the vitality of it, you see the benefit of it, and you see black men as heroes. Because, you know, I had Honorable Elijah Muhammad on my wall. I had Brother Farrakhan on my wall. And if I could find it in the final call, cut it out, tape it on the wall, anything I can get. Master Muhammad. And then later Brother Clarence 13X, Old Man Justice. So that right there kind of created a strong bond. And as you know, in the lesson, the 11th lesson, question and answer of Lost Found Muslim lesson number 1. Have you learned that your word shall be bond? Right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That your word shall be bond.
Yes,
my
sir.
word
Yes,
is
sir.
my bond, and my bond is my life. And I should give my life before my words shall fail. So the bond that it created and the brotherhood that Islam created. So now you saw a dimension of that was in the temple. Now a dimension of that is now out on the street, you know. And I would be remiss if I was to say it was just Brother Clarence and his immediate group, but it was an influence of, as the New York Times said, it said there were hundreds. It said there was at least 5,000 people out in the streets in New York that was teaching. And if you see Man-Child or read the book Man-Child in the Promised Land by Claude McKay, I believe, he speaks of how in the 50s, they was on the street again, on the soapboxes, on the step ladders, teaching on the history of Yaqub and the Asiatic black man, John Hart and Hawkins, and all this information. So when that knowledge took place on the street, now mind you, they also were teaching the martial arts because the FOI was teaching the brothers the martial arts on the street.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And many brothers had the same background as Brother Clara 13X did. Like I said, he was in the army, he was in the service, right, before he joined the nation. So he knew martial arts there. Then when he got in the Nation of Islam with the FOI class, they had all these FOI that was trained in military science, right? Trained in the martial arts. And many of them also had military backgrounds, right? And brother, when you match the two, the supreme wisdom with the military background, remember, it was Allah himself in the person of Master Muhammad that set up the FOI class.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Class. So it was God's class.
Yes, sir.
God's class is just that, so it gives you a backbone when you stand up. You're not a so-called Negro anymore. You're a God, God of the universe.
Yes, sir.
The original man, the Asiatic black man, the making the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe. So that really inspired the youth. And now, even the critics, the journalists, and the police authorities, they said when the teachers of the Nation of Islam hit the street, they was now calling them a super gang. That's what they referred to the youth as. They said they're a super gang because this youth, they're not afraid of anything. And again, if the police was beating somebody up on the street, these youths was like, okay, we here for it. Bring it on. And that's exactly, it's ironic you would say that because that was the alarm. They were given the alarm of Allahu Akbar. And when you heard Allahu Akbar, as they say today, it was lit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It was lit. You know what I mean?
Yes,
it was lit.
Yes, sir.
So this is the culture of the Nation of Islam as it reflects and permeates the youth. And I can't leave this out because, this visual's always in my head, brother. Coming to Boston at 15, and you would be out there with the junior FOI, like in the parking lot.
Yes, sir.
See, and brother, when you see the formation, I mean, you living it out, as you were a junior FOI.
Yes, sir.
And how you were instructing the young brothers and how you coming up, you pretty much was born in the Nation of Islam, right? So
yes,
it was a brother from the Harlem Six named Amin, who we call him I God. A great, powerful brother. He's one of the Harlem Six. So he's one of the ones that Malcolm X was referring to, Ruby D and Ossie Davis was referring to. And the brother said, you know what? He said, Wakeel, when I was working on my book, In the Name of Allah, History of Clan 13X and the Five Sinners of the first volume, he told me, he said, you know how we got really inspired? He said, brother, we was on 129th Street. He said, man, and the junior FOI came down the street storming. They was stomping. He said, man, when we saw that, we was like, wow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But they marched the junior FOI down 129th Street, he said. And so when brothers see that, and even when you go to our drill competitions, and I think it's important. I think if we could have and of course you've done it, like it is important to have, and this would be part of the culture to me, because one thing I left out in hip hop, and people don't talk about it, but it was like what we call double dutch, right? And the sisters was powerful, as it related to double dutch.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Jumping rope,
Yes,
double dutch. They jump rope with the two ropes, and they done all these little like gymnastics.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's another aspect too. Gymnastics, I would say, is part of hip hop. Flipping, tumbling, all of that, even down to swimming. It's all to diving, brother. It's amazing the talent that we have in the Black community. Of course, that eventually goes pro with the Serena Williams,
yes, sir.
Tiger Woods,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
and different in ballerina, everything. We permeate everything. But it was that culture, that you saw in the street, in the community, that when it was married with the wisdom became so important to the youth. And then later, like I said, from that, hip hop came about, even from the musicians, Brother James Brown, who, the godfather
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
Godfather,
Yes, sir. Yes,
soul
sir.
brother number one,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
Many of us use his break beats in the beginning and dealing with DJing and then rapping over
Mm.
the break beats, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
he say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud, right? James Brown was highly influenced by the Nation of Islam.
Yes, sir.
Everybody of consciousness was influenced by the Nation of Islam,
Yes, sir.
period. So I say all that to say, brother, all we have to do is expose the people to the teachers of the Nation of Islam. Is tailor-made, customized specifically for the black man and woman in North America. It's hard. In my day, you couldn't resist it. See, we became, many of us, I left this part out, but the teachers of the Nation of Islam, as well as the 5%ers, took root in the penal institutions, right? So a lot of brothers was in prison, a lot of brothers went to jail, and we talking about juvenile correctional facilities, right? And of course, I remember me and Brother George from Mosque number 15 in Atlanta,
Okay. Okay.
we were our
Yes, sir.
soldier one day. He said, Brother Wakeel, he said, why you think the brothers in prison, gravitate toward the teachers of the Nation of Islam? Da, da, da.
Mm.
And we was like, Brother George is a scientist. So he said, brother, you know
Yes, sir.
what, brother, let me give that some thought. Brother, let me give it some thought, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He said, that's where they're the most hungriest for the knowledge, right? I said, yeah, brother, praise be to Allah. And that is true, so the militancy aspect for the brothers out of the juvenile facilities, as well as the most dominant brothers in the community, in the hood, if you will, again, it's talking about New York and
Yes,
New
sir.
Jersey, they were like leaders, or what we would call dukes, like the Duke of the block, meaning that
Yes,
this
sir.
one on this block, he could beat anybody on the block.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Or, this society may say, oh, gang leaders. But once they got the knowledge of self, and everybody got the knowledge of self, you couldn't help but to get it. You couldn't resist it. You really couldn't. And as they were strict in the Nation of Islam, like I said, they brought that strictness out of the temple and instilled it in some of us that was in the community. So we became very enthusiastic about learning the lessons. So I would quiz you on your lesson. And let me speak of that if I can.
Yes, sir.
The
Go ahead.
knowledge of the lessons, because I remember, and I used to get so mad, when in the mosque, some people were trying to say that was a 5% thing, the lessons. And that would just blow my top whenever I would hear that. Because Master Fraud Muhammad and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad are the authors of the lessons.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's
Yes,
where the
sir.
credit go to. And they're the ones who gave the directive that you have to learn these by heart. It's an
Yes, sir.
original
Yes, sir.
to the laborers. And you will be tested on this knowledge.
That's right. That's right.
And when the 5%ers got it, that was the culture of the Nation of Islam. So as an FOI, and I guess as an MGT, I can't speak on the MGT side, but the FOI
Yes, sir.
side,
Yes, sir.
but I'm sure they were raised sharp. But it's just that, that's their class. It's not class.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In the FOI, as well documented by Brother Minister Malcolm X, and autobiography of Malcolm X, as well documented by Brother Minister Benjamin Kareem, and even the Honorable Minister Min Farrakhan has told us. I remember one of the last times he came to Atlanta, he told us again to focus and study on the lessons during our study.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that was the culture. So when you was in Temple number 7 as an FOI, when you would come to FOI class, you would get your lessons. Now today, we kind of get our lessons like here, like boom, like in one setting, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They didn't do it like that then. You kind of had to earn your lesson degree by degree. So the captain, say like a Yusuf Shah at number 7, who was known as Captain Joseph at one time. Then brother First Officer Lieutenant Clarence 7X.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So the captain and the first officer naturally over the FOI class. Of course, the minister's over everybody. But they were responsible for teaching you the lessons. So whenever you come to class, well, what lesson you on? Oh, well, I'm on the 8th question and answer of Lost Found Muslim lesson number 1. Okay, brother,
Yes, sir.
recite it. You would have to recite it. A lot of them would keep all people apart from social equality.
Yes, sir.
They recite the question and the answer. And once they were satisfied with that, they would give you a little typed out the next lesson, the 9th question and answer, right? And that's how you would learn it, coming to FOI class. So all the brothers with Minister Malcolm X, Brother Farrakhan, the Thomas Jahads, the Brother Najees of the world, the Brother Minister Akbar, of course, how can I forget Minister Abdul Akbar Muhammad?
Yes, sir. Yes,
all
sir.
these brothers, Brother Minister Jabril Muhammad was in Mosque number 7 too. Initially, they all had to know their lessons by heart. And you learn that, if you live in the FOI house or whatever, you will learn that. So Brother Clarence 13X was part of that class. And so as he learned it from them, he just came out again and brought the same template and aspect and just taught the youth in the street. So that's something that started with the Nation of Islam, and it's still supremely relevant in the Nation of Islam. And as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us, he likens it to the lessons. He said, like a baby being born, like a newborn baby being in the womb and having a liner of protection around it, and the umbilical cord, it serves as a filter to filter out the poison of the food prior to it getting to the baby. And he said that's how the lessons are with us. So anything that we study, which the lessons say we can study, or we know the sciences of everything in life, anything that we can study, we can filter it through the lessons.
Yes,
and there's no other person outside of Master Muhammad, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You can really think of 2 other people that have prominent positions in the world that will baffle the scholars, baffle the best news reporters and journalists. They got, pretty much will dumbfound anybody. Brother Minister Malcolm X, when he was in that seat, and then the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And we see how Brother Farrakhan, brother, with the amount of time that he's had amongst us,
yes, sir,
brother. And I know I'm long-winded here, but I want to say this real quick.
No. Take your time. Take your time.
Brother Minister, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, when he was doing his walking tours, he came to New York City. And I'd be remiss if I ain't recognize our beloved brother, Minister Abdul Hafiz Muhammad.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
And another powerful brother that we will definitely miss. And he was a brother that came in also through the same experience I'm telling you about, through the Father Center. And eventually he would come to be the minister of number 7 in New York, which is profound. When the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan did the walking tour in New York, in New Jersey, in Newark, I had the honor of, I came up there and had the honor of being on part of the walking tour. And so I saw everything firsthand. That's how the people love Brother Farrakhan.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then he came over to Newark and we went to Central High School. Okay. Brother Raz Baraka, who's the mayor of Newark now.
Yes, sir.
The great Raz Baraka, Mayor Raz Baraka.
Yes, sir.
He was a principal of Central High School, right? He invited the minister to come speak to the students. Now, again, these are students in the high school. So I had the honor to go in there because I know Brother Raz, and I know a couple of other brothers in the administration and some of the teachers there. Brother Mustafa, he's an imam in the community, Imam W.D. Muhammad. He was also a teacher there. And anyhow, the minister was a surprise guest. So Brother Roz, Mayor Roz, as the principal, had all of the students come into the auditorium. So we all came in the auditorium. So I sat in the auditorium way in the back behind the students, right? So Brother Roz like, today we got a surprise guest. He's like, what's going on? Y'all called us out of class, what's going on? Brother Farrakhan comes out with the E-team. And they looking like, yo, what's going on? Right? Because they like, who's this? You know, the president? Like, what is this? Like, what? They try to process this. Like, who is this? Because they don't know. Because they're a young generation. They didn't really know who Brother Farrakhan was.
That's right.
So they're like, okay, well, who's he? Who is he? So it's confusion in the auditorium. Who is he? What's going on? Who's that? All Brother Roz had to do was get a minister to, the mic. Minister starts to speak. That's the beautiful voice of that angel. The youth, because again, I'm right there sitting down with them. They like, now they becoming still when they heard him speak, right? Then the minister, I remember he said this. He said, the front row, right? He said, I want to ask you young people something. He said, if somebody shows you a picture that has you in it, what's the first thing you look for? Everyone's like, we look for ourselves. That's right. You look for yourself, right?
Yes, sir.
And I'm here to teach you the knowledge of self. Brother Minister started speaking on the teachers. And I think I was in there for 20 minutes, 25 minutes. He ended it saying, the Black man is God.
Yes, sir.
You are gods. I don't know what all religious affiliation is there, but in Newark it's heavy predominantly, Muslim on the Orthodox side.
Yes,
but brother, they was chanting it back. He convinced them in that short period of time, and they fell in love with the minister, where they didn't really want him to leave. When he left, when he left, they had we have holdover meetings.
Yes, sir.
They had a holdover meeting.
Yes, sir.
In the auditorium. And brother, when I say those youth was on fire, he was telling the truth. That's what we need. That's what we need to be learning. He was telling the truth. So they let some of the youth come up. They let some of the students come up and take the mic where Brother Minister was, after, before he left. Well, he was gone at this time. And they grabbed the mic and they was like, look, I don't know. What's that man's name again? What's his name? Yeah, he was teaching the truth, and that's what we need to know. That's what we need to know. Do y'all think he was teaching the truth? They clapped me, like all up there. I was like, brother, that's the nature of the teachers. Of course, that's the anointed one. It's hard to compare anybody to him. But he is a product of the teachers of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad.
That's right.
He's a national representative of the most honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad in the nation of Islam. That is the example. If we follow that example, brother, I mean, it'd be on fire. And on us, I would say, historically speaking, maybe on a relatively smaller scale as a result of the history, because he had a short period of time, even though his work impacted the multitudes. That's what the father, Brother Clarence 13X, did.
Yes, sir.
He went straight to the youth, and he taught them that. And then the youth went and they started teaching one another. That's why it's so important as young brothers and sisters in the nation to talk to the other young brothers and sisters in the nation. In fact, as the lessons say, the younger brothers and sisters in the nation should be the piece with the magnetic.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Piece with magnetic. And in the world of hip hop, in my generation, it's understood that all respect is due to a Muslim. So you will see, from the likes of anybody and everybody, from Jay-Z, Puffy, everybody. I can't think of anybody. Fat Joe, Rick Ross, T.I., I don't know of anybody that resists the minister or the teachers when they hear it. So we do have friendships in all walks of life. It's just a matter of us amplifying it and doing more. in accordance with the instructions, the divine instructions from Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan. And I know I say his name a lot, and we say his name a lot, and it's not like it's a worship thing. It's just that, we was talking about music. I may be mentioning Michael Jackson.
Yes,
We was
sir.
about
Yes, sir. Yes,
basketball,
sir.
right? We talking about Michael Jordan,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
LeBron James.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So just in this field of knowledge and getting to our people by the multitude, that is a great example. And that is the tradition of the 5%ers. And Brother Minister has always had a great, powerful connectivity with the 5%ers. I remember they shared with us that the 5%ers was a divine thing, because from what I was told by one of the ministers back then in the 80s, because Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan said it's still around. That never went down. The brothers and sisters are still here. That's a
Yes, sir.
divine
Yes, sir.
thing.
Yes, sir.
And the reason why it's divine, for those who actually adhere and follow the aspect of the 5%ers, because there's 5%ers that tell you there's many jive percenters, there's more jive percenters, meaning frauds, in actual 5%.
Yes, sir.
There's
Yes, sir.
5%,
Yes, sir.
10%, and 85% in every category. But the 5% of the 5%, the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan always had that connection. And when he first started to rebuild the Nation of Islam, as you know, like I said, my aunt and everybody went through a transition from 1975 to 1977, and the Nation of Islam converted to the path of quote unquote Orthodox Islam, of Sunni Islam, under the direction at the time of Brother Minister Wallace D. Muhammad, Imam Waq D. Muhammad. When Brother Minister started standing back up, as I said, there was the Muslim brothers there where I was from that was assisting and helping them. But then they had to take it from there in Jersey and go back to New York. Now in New York, there was some opposition in New York.
Yes,
there
sir.
was opposition, period. If you was with the most honorable Elijah Muhammad in 77 and 78, you had some powerful enemies and adversaries. There were people that wanted to kill you for talking respectfully of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I'm talking about former followers.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So when the minister had to rebuild, and he had that great, powerful army, like I said, we call his brother the general. And like you said, as you know, as from them to 1977, all the way down, of course, Brother Mustafa, all of the brothers, there's so many brothers, I'll be remiss, there's so many. They had that powerful army, but on the East Coast, Brother Kareem had that army, and they went into New York and they established a temple in New York, or a study group in New York, and they made it so that the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan would return to New York. See, he had to return to New York because everybody knew him as a national representative, but this time he's coming to New York after the fall to lift up the name of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And so he had to get who he can get. Some of the former followers wasn't trying to hear it. A small minority of them were. And it was brothers from the 5%ers that also jumped up and assisted. Like I said, Ether was synonymous. So they said, oh, Brother Farrakhan rebuilding the Nation of Islam. So here they come. So within that group, Brother Minister Abdul Hafiz.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Brother Nelson, Brother Abdul Haq. I mean, so many brothers. True Mathematics. I mean, there's so many, many brothers. Brother, he'll kill me if I don't mention his name. Brother Alamel Allah, Brother Franklin Muhammad, former lieutenant in number 7. All these great brothers that helped rebuild the Nation of Islam is still today within the Nation of Islam, and influenced the likes of myself, Brother Wesley, Brother J Electronica, Brother Malou Sadiq, Brother Understanding. So many of us came down this path. And that was one of the predictions or the prophetic aspects of Brother Clarence 13X. He said in teaching these youth that he wanted some of them to go to the temple. I want you to go join the temple. This one, I want you to go join the temple. One, it'll help yourself get the discipline that you need, and you'll be in a position to help your people. right? So he spoke of that this seed that he was dropping to a segment of the population of the brothers and sisters that were 5%ers would join on to the temple or the Nation of Islam, specifically join on to the FOI and the MGT. So when you look at it, I guess that was a prophetic, and I guess it was or is divine, as was alleged Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan stated, that, you know, many of us would be in the Nation of Islam, and many of us would be great helpers, you know, striving to be, you know, believers in the Nation of Islam. And so that has happened. And, you know, there's a controversy in the 5%. It also went through sort of a transition in a sense. There's different schools of thought within the 5%. And as you have some of the brothers that are in the nation or love the nation, you got some brothers that's like, hey, that ain't, nah, and they scoff at that. And they say, nah,
Yes,
they have a disdain for it, right? And I always tell them, brother, because they think that, well, some of them think, you know, the older ones know better. Because the older ones know that Father Allah, Clarence 13X, loved the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I had a great relationship with the elders, his companions, and they always taught me, you know, very powerful information about that. And they recognize Honorable Elijah Muhammad as the messenger of Allah, their leader, teacher, and guide, right? And I tell the brothers, show me, you'll be hard pressed, even for us in the Nation of Islam, to show me another brother, as Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan said in Phoenix, Arizona, at Arizona State, I believe it was, when some brothers laughed at the notion or the mentioning of Brother Clarence 13X, he said, wait a minute, hold on, you know, why knock a man? You know, look at his work. You know, why knock a man who has works for his faith? You know, where yours, right? I tell brothers, you know how many brothers and sisters Clarence 13X brought into the knowledge of self or made Muslims in the Nation of Islam? More than most. With hip hop, Public Enemy, everything, brother, more than most. So what he did in sharing the wisdom of the lessons, the supreme wisdom, I think has validated him in a certain position in history, because the way the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan so beautifully says it out of the Holy Quran. The work of any worker, right? You know, Allah does not waste the work of any worker.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Those brothers, those FOI and MGT from number 7 that took that part of that tradition and brought it to the street and gave it to the youth, the babies, 8 years old up to 21 years old, Allah did not waste their work. So that's why we had a great brother, Minister Abdul Hafiz Muhammad, that was on that post so long in New York City, right? He was a worker, brother. He was a worker. Every time I spoke to Brother Hafiz, he was in motion. Minister Abdul Hafiz Muhammad, praise Allah. Always in motion. And yeah, so we're here today, brother, as Muslims, you know, and many of us on the 5% tradition, they refer to us as the Muslim gods, you know, the Muslim gods, the gods of the 5% that identify as Muslim, thus, you know, the Muslim gods. Because as Mr. Louis Farrakhan says in Closing the Gap, that the real true understanding of a Muslim is God, that a Muslim is God, you know. He says it's a very uncommon understanding, but it's the correct understanding. So whenever we are Muslims, meaning one that submit to do the will of Allah, one of peace, one that is righteous, when we submit to do the will of Allah, we become that highest instrument to manifest the will of Allah as the physical being of the Black man and woman, right? So when you are a Muslim, as Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, and Brother Clarence used to refer to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Some say he referred to him as the only Muslim in North America, right? Meaning Elijah Muhammad is the only one that could really call himself a Muslim. And then he would call him the holy Muslim, right? Holy is anything not mixed, tampered, or diluted with. Holy is something that is pure. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad being considered by the 5%ers as the holy Muslim or the pure Muslim. And Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that our Savior has arrived, that he got to the point where he would submit to do the will of Allah, that his will became one with Allah's will.
Yes,
That's deep, brother. That's the Christ right there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There's another man out here that's demonstrating that to us.
Yes, sir.
My humble opinion.
Yes, sir.
So, yes, brother, it's a very profound pathway. It's a very historical course for those that came in through the path of the 5%ers into the Nation of Islam. However, like Brother Dr. Wesley always liked to say when he was on the Breakfast Club, because, you know, we always get that question. Well, you come from the 5%ers. He's like, hold on. I'm still a 5%er.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right? Because who are the 5%? You know, that's the 16th question of the Lost Time Muslim.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
AKA the 1 through 40. So who are the 5% of this poor part of the planet Earth? That's from Muhammad asking the question. Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad answering the question. They are the poor righteous teachers.
That's right.
Who do not believe in the teachers of the 10%, who are all wise and know who the true and living God is.
That's right.
Who teach that the true and living God is the Son of Man. We know
that's
the
right.
Son of
That's
Man.
Right. That's
the
right.
Supreme being, the Black man of Asia, who teach freedom, justice, and equality to all the human families of the planet Earth. And if you got any kind of question about it, they make it plain in the last sentence. Otherwise known as the civilized people, also is the Muslim and the Muslim son. Just in case anybody got a question, those are the 5%ers. We are the 5%ers. And again, we should be proud of that. And Brother Minister said to me one time, and I think I got the full understanding of it today. And he was saying that those of us that came in through the 5%, you know, none of us should feel ever ashamed about getting Islam from Brother Clarence. You should be proud of that. You should be proud of that, that you got it from that brother. Then he made a joke about it, saying, you know, that brother, man, you was teaching the lessons, right? All you brothers know the lessons. He was like, you know, all the Muslims should know the lessons. Right? So we should definitely follow the example of the class. And it's just one part of it, of course. And learning it by heart, being able to recite it word for word, have it in the mind, coming out the tongue and the mouth, be able to speak it. But we don't want to be lip professors with it, of course.
Yes, sir.
But that's the beautiful thing about the Nation of Islam. The brothers and sisters of the Nation of Islam walk the walk. They talk the talk and walk the walk for the most part. It has earned the great respect of the community. So, you know, taking it all round table here, this is, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, you get the knowledge of self, you will fall in love with yourself, right? You fall in love with yourself, you do for self, right? So all we got is do for self. And once we get up, all of humanity comes up. That's why it says in that lesson, the 5% teach all the human families of the planet Earth.
That's right.
We seen again a man do it. The World Friendship Tour. Brother Minister has been all over the planet Earth.
Yes, sir.
And brother, loved. And our people, I remember some of our brothers and sisters that was in the Orthodox community kind of would try to make mockery of us. And they would say, well, you know, y'all not accepted over there in the East, like we would be accepted. And of course, Honorable Elijah Muhammad already went over there.
That's right. That's right.
And then the minister went back over there, you know, during this rise, the second rise, resurrection.
Yes, sir.
Wow. What a welcoming committee they had for him.
That's right.
Everywhere.
That's right.
Including Mecca. And he just came back from Mecca.
That's right.
Brother, this is it.
Beautiful.
As our great brother, Jabril Muhammad said, this is the one. We need not look for another.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know
okay. No, but Wakeel, you got a lot of comments. Thank you all. I'm coming to you all comments. Thank you, Brother Zach, for watching the show live for once. Thank you all for your comments. Praise be to Allah. That's right. That's right. Keep teaching, Brother Wesley. Keep Brother Wakeel. Keep teaching. Ramadan Mubarak. You powerful teaching. Thank you all, sir. I wanted to have a quick commercial break, very briefly, for our sponsors of this episode of the People's Podcast, starting with my brother Rashad and Jamal. Street Premiere Video Production. They have a 4K droid drone, and they video editing, television. They doing all kind of stuff, commercials. If you all need some video editing, please reach out to them. My sister Miriam has a children's book, ABC I Love Me, and coloring book. It is on Amazon. Thank you very much, Sister Miriam, for your support. My second book, which is on Amazon, it's called Cleopatra. It is a children's book. Thank you all very much for your support. Sister Tia Vinos has flashcards for Black millionaires. It's called Raising Black Millionaires for Economic Empowerment and Financial Development. Please reach out to Sister Tia Vinos on Facebook, and she will make sure she takes care of you all. And thank you, Brother Wakeel, for your patience. I want to make sure that I mention my sister Naima's dance class, Stay On Point Dance Academy, LLC. On Instagram, she teaches ballet and dance to people during the pandemic, so you can do a virtual reality. Supreme Men's Clothing, St. Louis, Missouri, 10835 West Florissant Avenue in St. Louis, 314-528-5555. Thank you for always looking out, my brother. Brother Ronald, a hip hop, he told me he had so many questions for you, Brother Wakeel. He's a true hip hop head in Phoenix, Arizona, BMW Entertainment. Thank you, Brother Ronald, for your yearly subscription. Sister Shelly Muhammad, Las Vegas, designofcomposure.com, Khalid's Boutique on Instagram. Thank you all for your sponsorships. Brother Eric in Phoenix, ppcnaturesv.com, a Black-owned HIV and HSV immunotherapy company. Supreme Express, the X Factor in Transportation and Logistics, Houston, Texas. Brother Chantel X Trucking Company, specializing in freight, refrigeration, and freight. Please reach out to our brother if you need anything with that. Akira's Coffee in Chicago, Illinois. Brother Aaron, Akira.com, 773-860-1696. HighlyTextured.com. She does natural hair products in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Thank you all for your sponsorship. Supreme Team Insurance, Todd X. McGraw, 803-521-2787. Saladin Porter, Brother David Adams. Thank you all for your support. Last but not least, because I've got a question for Brother Wakeel about this, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, my father's book, AbdulSharif.com. Thank you very much, Dad, for your support. If you all have a business that you would like me to support or sponsor, the People's Podcast on Cash App and the $. Thank you very much. Brother Wakeel, you're an author, a great author. How did you get into writing books? And can you tell us about your books and how we can support your books as well?
Yes, sir, beloved. I think I became an author pretty much perhaps out of love, brother, I would say. Again, as I was exposed to these teachings at a very young age, the first thing I would always want to do was learn the history about it, you know. And in those days, of course, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have these things. This knowledge wasn't really accessible. So the first time I kind of heard about the teachings when I got to high school, I went right to the library to try to find information. At the time, I was trying to find information on Brother Clarence 13X, because that's what my cousin had exposed me to on that particular day when he was teaching me some of the lessons. But they didn't have anything on him in the library, right? But I told the librarian, you had to get these index cards, and that was the first time I went to the library, brother, on my own, but I was determined. I said, I'm gonna find something on this thing. And so he had mentioned Master Muhammad, Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So naturally, I was able to find some information. There's a small tidbit of information about them. And I went home, and my mother and father had the ebony encyclopedias, and I just opened that up for the first time. You see if I can find anything about, Nation of Islam, Muslims, teachings, and found even in the World Encyclopedia, found the little paragraph then. That's about 1983 on WD Farad, little itty bitty paragraph. And brother, I must have read that thing a trillion times till I knew it by heart. And so I always wanted to know more about the history. So I was really thirsting for the history. And just going throughout my years, you know, as a young Muslim, I didn't see anyone truly address it, you know, specifically from the 5% side. That's the first book that I wrote. So I wanted the world to know about the work that inspired so many of us to put us on this course of knowledge. And so I independently did it. And a big influence on me, as far as writing, came from brother Dr. Wesley.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He was a writer. And I remember when I first met him and we got together and, you know, started dealing with Islam. And I remember the next day he came back with a paper that he wrote on what we discussed. And I said, damn, brother, what you yeah, I wrote an article. An article. And I was like, damn. I said, you know, in the culture of the 5%ers, you got to wait a long time before you can write any article. You got to know all the lessons and everything by heart. But I still had to say he's always been a researcher and a writer from the very beginning, and a very meticulous writer. You know, I mean, very profound, as we already know. So much of it from that side, I was like, you know what, eventually, you know, inshallah, you know, I will write something, but I was waiting for somebody else to do it. Let me see, somebody else going to do it. Let me wait. Somebody else going to do it. Somebody else going to do it. I'm still waiting. Somebody else going to do it. I was like, you know what? I guess I'm going to have to do it.
Yes, sir.
So
yes,
then
sir.
I got labor intensive with it, and I just started writing. But my style of writing, you know, was really patterned after brother Dr. Wesley. So the way that I write my books, I write them as documentaries, you know, or anthologies. So it's pretty much transcriptions from existing interviews, like what you're doing. I transcribe it word for word, exactly from that person. And then you can hear it from their eyes. And I think that is great because we got a multitude of people from all these different perspectives. And as you're reading through the documentary, as you watch a documentary, you kind of pick up on the essence of everybody's soul and everybody's, you know, courage, admiration, ambition, love, emotion. So it kind of take you through that whole course where now you're spiritually intertwined with what you're reading or studying, right? Or watching, if it's a documentary. So that's my style of writing, is more so from a researcher perspective. And so I did the books In the Name of Allah, History of Clan 13X and the 5%ers, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Then I did another book with one of the co-founders of the 5%ers, Brother John 37X, or Brother Abu Shahid, who was the elder of the 5% Nation at the time, who recently passed a few years ago. We did a book together called TNT, The Naked Truth, from the Gold Mine of Abu Shahid, the elder of the Nation of Gods and Earths. So that's the 3 books that I did over on that end. And then of course, I had my thirst and quest for the history of the Nation of Islam. I was always there. And I said, well, the most thing that captivated me, go back to again, to being in my bedroom when I was young, trying to look for the history on who? W.D. Farrakhan.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I wanted it on him. And so that always intrigued me. So I went, researched deep, and I found, you know, many existing articles on the history of the early history of the Nation of Islam. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I don't mean to stop you. I see all your comments. Thank you very much. It's a love you always, Sean Mir, brother. Thank you all for your support. On Master Far Muhammad, point number 12, you all, the Allah team, I want to ask how that came about as well. But specifically on your research, how are you able to defend point number 12 so well?
Well, I mean, I don't say, I mean, the best defender of point number 12 is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Yes, sir, we know that.
Number one. Then, of course, the brother who really, and that book is called The Truth of God.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right? And well, it was 2 different titles for it, but that book is written by brother, and the book that I gave to you is by brother Dr. Wesley Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
Who,
yes, sir.
Again, that came about through Brother Minister saying that we needed to be able to defend point number 12.
Right.
Right. And I remember Brother Wesley, we had graduated from Morehouse, and he was like, you know, I'm going to the University of Michigan and to get his master's in Islamic studies. You know, and initially I was like, wow, really? He's like, yeah, Islamic studies. Then he would go on to get his doctorate. But he said that the main thing and the main purpose of him doing it, and he's a very adamant brother. He's a brother that has a predetermined ideal, and he'll see it all the way through. That's why Allah has blessed him to be such a due diligent researcher. He said, Brother Wakeel, my aim and purpose is to prove to the academic world the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, that the black man is God, that Allah came in a person, the master father Muhammad.
Allahu Akbar.
Now, brother, this is probably before he even took his first course at the University of Michigan. And that was a period of time, so many years, that he was dedicated to that, whereas he sacrificed on some levels his potential career in the world of academics as far as being a professor and teaching, because his dissertation was on pretty much the black man being God and the Prophet Muhammad having the vision of Allah in human form. So this met with resistance from some of the scholars in that world who also had Islamic alliances, because in that world, you're supposed to be strictly academic, strictly professional. You're really not allowed for your religion to cloud anything. Everything should be about the empirical data and the research, right? And the ability to present the point. Which brother went against all odds in his dissertation. He published a dissertation. Yes, and you get it from brother, the truth of God. And he has videos of dealing with point number 12. And so he put that together and he defended his dissertation, because I remember that was going to be a big thing. And he passed overwhelmingly, reluctantly now, because nobody wanted to pass him on that, Well, some did, some had a great appreciation and value for it. However, in that process, he now, I want to say, kind of was blackballed as a result. And this was all before the minister, I don't even know if he cool with me saying all this, but this is how the history happened. This is before the minister, before Brother Wesley was called to Chicago.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We was just out here broke, whatever, out here, still on the mission we was in college.
Yes, sir.
Sharing information, loving this information, and just dying to present it at any cost, whether it be our lives or anything else. Then a brother just shared a video where they was talking greasy about the Honorable Mr. Min Farrakhan and Nation Islam, teaches Honorable Elijah Muhammad in New York. And we assembled a crew and we went up there and dealt with it on the stage and presented it. And Brother Wesley just tore the house down in every debate that we had. And yeah, and so we was talking and we were like, yeah, brother, we were trying to figure out, like, how can we help, the nation and the minister, it's kind of, we out here, we just like mavericks. We mavericks.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You thought we coming to defend the teaching, whoever going to help and assist. And we was like, you should write the minister, write the minister, let him know that we was talking. He was like, man, you think? It's like, yeah, brother, should write the minister. And I don't know if he ever told this, but he writes the minister. And so he's like, I sent it off, right? Then I don't remember how much time elapsed. Now, mind you, we didn't have any contact with Honorable Mr. Min Farrakhan. And next thing I know, I get a call, it's Wesley, he excited. Guess what? What? The minister called. Like, what? What? Allahu Akbar. Wow. And, the minister just gave him wise counsel. And, it's like a brother told me, one of the elders in the 5%. He said, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. I guess brother did a work, he was ready, and the teacher appeared in the angelic form of the Honorable Minister Min Farrakhan.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the rest is history. The brother still beating the pavement with this knowledge and out there riding for the Honorable Minister Min Farrakhan, defending point number 12. And I say all that to say, that's my brother that's an expert on that.
Yes, sir.
I don't want to necessarily do a disservice
Yes, sir.
research as it relates to the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan and brother Dr. Wesley Muhammad that researched the subject matter on it and shared it with us. And I believe, if I remember correctly, the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan wanted him to teach on point number 12. And of course, he had the partnership with brother Minister Ishmael, of course, our beloved student minister, national assistant, to Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Mm-hmm.
And man, how can I remember? I'm getting old. And that's when we had the workshop, point number 12.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Brother Dimitri involved in that? Yes, I think. So, and we had that, that's on YouTube, that's on video. So anything with point number 12, which is that we believe and teach that Allah came in a person, a master from Muhammad, the long-awaited Mahdi of the Muslims and the Messiah of the Christians. And, but brother, I know I was long-winded with that, but that was inspired through the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who of course was inspired by Allah and the Christ, most honorable Elijah Muhammad. So Brother Wesley has that, and that's always a constant duty. So that's something that we always teach.
Praise be to Allah. Okay, thank you, and thank you all for watching, and thank you for your honesty and great transparency and great stories, Brother Wakeel. Brother Wakeel Allah. My next question for you is: how did your parents feel about you accepting the teachings?
I had a very great, powerful father, the great Edward G. Robinson, aka Hugo.
Yes, sir.
AKA Yiga.
Yes, sir.
As I was telling you, each block has a Duke. My father was like the OG.
Okay, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He was an OG, my father.
Beautiful.
And so his thing was, like I said, I was 13, 14. He was already putting me on the knowledge. He used to make me watch 60 Minutes every Sunday. He would share. My father had a lot of knowledge about the world, dealing with Africa and things. He would share with that. And he had a Holy Quran, had like the African machete. And he encouraged us, to learn. He wasn't Muslim. But when I became Muslim, he was cool with it because at the end of the day, I was a good child for the most part.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Wasn't no sucker or nothing, but was good and recognized the game early on and be like, okay, I'm with my mother and father. So I always looked at them as like, even as a young age, okay, these are the people responsible for me. These are the people that I love. These are the people I can trust. Just like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said about Brother Farrakhan, that's how I felt about my parents. Whenever they tell you don't go, they tell you stay away.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And they never told me to not deal with the knowledge at a young age. But this is how I really became exposed. Okay, this is revealing some hidden teachings.
Yes, sir.
And as I mentioned, Brother Minister Abdul Kareem Muhammad was the East Coast Regional Minister at the time, and he lived in Plainfield, of course. His daughter, whose name is Crester Muhammad, she would come and visit us, because she lived right down the street. So we all had a tight-knit community in a tight-knit neighborhood. So we all would go to one another's houses, right? And I remember when I told her I accepted Islam, right? She's like, oh, all praise due to Allah, Allahu Akbar, right? And me being naive to whatever, I said, yeah, I'm with the gods. She's like, what? I said, yeah, the 5% nation. Brother, she almost literally cried. She's like, oh no, because we had a reputation. And that's what my mother said. My mother said, now she did say something. You know what? The 5%. And all she would tell me is, those are the ones that killed that bus driver. I'll never forget that. They killed the bus driver. And it's funny, I didn't find out until 5 years ago what she was talking about. Part of my research, I said, oh, this is what she was talking about. But things were happening with youth and stuff like that in that age. And many of us being juveniles became what you would call juvenile delinquents. And those are the ones that had to be reached. And as Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan said in the lesson, What Make Rain, Hail, Snow, and Earthquakes?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
About the sun and moon having attractive power on our planet. And how the sun and moon draw the water up, from our planet into the Earth's rotation, which is called gravitation, to a fine mist at the neck of the high.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
As the water, he said, as the water ascends higher to the sun
Yes,
sun
sir.
is purifying the water. It's purifying the water.
Yes, sir.
It's
Yes,
purifying
sir.
the water. Then it drops it back down. That's how we got the knowledge, many of us, in the 5%ers in the Nation of Islam. And I had a brother, Brother Minister Belton Muhammad, aka they used to call him Farad Savior. And he became the minister of New Brunswick, Muslim in '85. But he's an OG. He recently passed away a few years ago. And he said, you know, the Nation of Islam, for many of us, he said it was likened to life. He said, look how life is formed. And I believe it's Surah 96. Well, now it's coming to me from these elders.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's about the clot. And he says, look how life starts from a clot. He said, ugly, ain't it? When you look at it, it's ugly. It's a blood clot, real ugly, you know. Then over a period of months, Allah transforms that clot into, again, the perfect manifestation of power and force, which is God here on the planet Earth, which is the black man and woman.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. And that's how we got the knowledge. Allah, arm, leg, arm, head.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
A-L-L-A-H, Allah, the physical reality. That's how we would get it. There's some aspects of the Nation of Islam, the 5%ers.
Yes, sir.
So they were cool with it, my parents, because I was always, you know, well-behaved, courteous, and respectful. And it probably helped to keep me out of trouble in some regard. I could have gotten in plenty of trouble coming up where I came up with some levels. But, you know, I believe Allah, they say Allah take care of the babies and the fools.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, you know, with the help of Allah, you know, we pull through. Praise be to Allah. So yeah, they were beautiful about it. And I wouldn't change them out for the world. Honorable Edward G. Robinson, Honorable Susie Robinson. Praise be to
beautiful.
Allah.
Praise be to Allah. Okay. Wonderful. My next question for you, sir, is how was it leading up to the Million Man March, and how did the Million Man March personally impact you?
Oh, brother. I became registered in the Nation of Islam in '92. So, and that's when I said, okay, I'm ready, because I just graduated college. Okay, the college life is over. Let me just fall in. And falling in, you know, me, Brother Johnny, Brother Leroy, Brother Wesley, Brother Brian, Brother Jackie, Brother Bernard, you know, many of the, I guess we older now, yeah. We would work day in and day out, you know, a soldier day in and day out, soldering in different projects in Atlanta, soldiering on the campus, everywhere, Decatur, College Park, the Bluff, you name it, wherever we can go. Brother, I don't know how many shoes I wore out. Right? I don't know how many suits I bled through in the pavement, sweated through.
Yes, sir.
The collars I killed, and you know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But I say all that to say, the Honorable Minister Min Farrakhan had came to, and I'm just really talking from an Atlanta perspective, he had came to the Omni. I think that was in 1990. When he said, add it up.
Yes, sir.
He did that lecture, add it up. And another brother that helped inspire us here in Atlanta was Brother Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. Brother Dr. Khalid, that's who became my mentor the first week I was in Atlanta. Because I was freshly removed from New Jersey, and now I'm in Atlanta attending Morehouse College. Then I meet Brother William 2X and Brother Malik. Brother William 2X is now known as Brother Shakur. He was our Southern Regional Secretary. And then he went to, Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan gave him the name Shakur and brought him up to Chicago to make him the Central Region Secretary.
Okay, yes, sir. I'm familiar. Right. Yes, sir.
And Brother Malik is Dr. Khaled's son, but they look nothing alike because Malik is light-skinned with waves. And I'm the 5%er, and I'm trying to teach all these people on campus. And maybe after a week or two, then I see the Muslims. I'm like, oh, there they go. See what I'm telling y'all? those are brothers right there, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I meet them, and they came to my dorm and everything. We chopped it up, and we was there basically holding rallies. And Brother Minister Khalid come to visit, and just blew my mind, brother. I was scared to death because I love the Muslims, but I had a fear of the FOI because the FOI, they would handle business. If
Yes,
you
sir.
violated the FOI, they would handle their business. And I don't even gotta say imagine it, because here you are living proof.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't remember what year was that when your father was in Mayfair Mansions, 89, 80.
I'm not gonna guess the wrong year, so I'm not gonna throw you.
Well, as you saw them on CNN,
Yes, sir. Yes,
they
sir.
were handling business and cleaning up the community, I would see the same thing in New Jersey, except that it wasn't recorded. I'm like, oh, these brothers mean business. So I'm up on campus, and here comes this white stretch limo, Mercedes Benz, rides right up in front of my dorm. I stay in Robert Hall. Brother Minister Abdul Malik, the great Minister Abdul Malik. Pardon me, Abdul Malik Saeed.
Yes, sir.
Muhammad,
Yes, sir.
formerly known as Brother Minister Tony Muhammad, who was a very powerful brother in Atlanta too. Always powerful as he is today.
Yes, sir.
And he was rolling with Khalid strong, but he was driving the Benz. I don't know if you remember this. He was driving the stretch Benz. And everybody in the dorm was like, hey man, look at this, look at this. And they run out, they see the stretch white Mercedes Benz. And out pops a man wearing this white like dashiki get up uniform with the hat. And I'm looking at the window. I said, oh, that's that brother Dr. Khalid. I know about him through the Final Call and through some of the tapes. I was like, oh, I said, everything is racing through my mind because the FOI is coming in the dorm. So first thing I'm thinking, like, oh man, I done ran my mouth too much. Now they coming to deal with me, right?
Yes, sir.
We on the second floor. Brothers is coming from this direction, and they come because it's two entrances. They're coming from both directions, and we in the middle. We like, yo. So I'm like, we out in the hallway. But the cop was like, who is the 5%er brother? Wakeel? Right then. He was like, peace, God. And I remember like they said, wait a minute. It was a brother named Juice from DC. He said, wait a minute. Because they don't know who Khalid is. They don't know nothing about really that, right? Because they're all lost founds, if you will. All they know about Islam is what I'm trying to tell them.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We freshmen, fresh out of high school. It was like 2 weeks into our freshman year at Morehouse. And he said to Khalid, he said, you believe what Wakeel believe? He said, because Wakeel believe he's God. My heart went like, whoo! But my heart went down to my feet. I said, I know I'm about to get maxed out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I mean, calling myself God. Here come the Muslims. Khalid was like, for a split second, stopped. He was like, he is God. And I was like, what? Now, I believe I was God since I was in 9th grade.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, to hear from this man, I'm shocked because all kinds of stuff is breaking through my mind. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm kind of relieved. Anybody had a Bible? And brother, I wasn't about the Bible at this damn time. Khalid really put me on to that. He took out the Bible. He read Psalms 82. He are all gods, children of the Most High God. And I said, okay, that's in the Bible. I have no idea. But that seed, it was me, brother, like I said, me, the only one around at that time, because Wesley and wasn't there yet. Wesley and Brother Saad, aka Brother Burvey, formerly Brother Burvey, wasn't there yet. It was really me and Brother Johnny, the great Johnny Audible, that, part of the lot team that worked with us, J Electronica and everything, the whole operation out of Detroit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That was at Morehouse, and Brother Leroy. And I'm sure I'm probably forgetting some brothers, but that set the seed. So we started rolling with Brother Khalid and Brother Minister Tony. The great Brother Torre Muhammad of Chicago was there with us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And Brother Jackie. And this is before even Brother Bernard Kushmir got there.
Yes, sir. When you say Brother Jackie, you referring to light skinned Brother Jackie?
Right, the
Okay, yes,
great Lieutenant Brother Jackie Muhammad,
yes, sir.
who passed on. You know, may
Yes,
the
sir.
peace and blessings of Allah be upon him.
Yes, sir.
It was Brother Jackie who I recited to get my ex to in the
Mm.
basement, number 15 at 880 Martin Luther King.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Brother Jackie was very influential in the junior FY in Chicago, training us as well. And his sister, you know, I'm in the theater, so acting, and his sister
Right,
was direct most of the plays, and my mother was in, and
right,
so I grew up around him and his family. So may Allah be pleased with them both. Yes, sir.
right. And that set the seed for us, you know, and like I said, officially I got down in the temple of Muslim 15 in 92. And so all of us kind of converged. We formed like the God Squad.
Okay.
When we
Yes, sir.
called a lot of team called us the God Squad. And we started going throughout the community. And initially we got prepared after the minister did the Omni, let us, what's that called? Let us speak? No. With the added up, he came back to speak at the Georgia Dome. So in 1992, then he did Stop the Killing. So he started the Stop the Killing tours, and he spoke again in Atlanta and many other places in the city. So he prepared the momentum for the Million Man March. And I remember when he first said it, I'm like Peter, brother, on some levels. When when I'm like coming in as a 5%er, you be skeptical. I remember my first FOI class, and I know I'll be all over the place, but as a 5%er, when I joined the FOI, I never forget my first FOI class, because I was like, oh my God, what have I signed up for? Because I was saying I was God, but in this class, we was going to prove it.
Yes,
you
sir.
know?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And we put goals and objectives in front of us. I was like, ain't no way we're going to meet that.
Mm.
So I had to see the doubt.
Mm. Mm.
And the FOI kind of showed me that whatever we put our mind to was going to happen because of the brotherhood, because of the unity factor. That was the piece that was missing. The unity of the FOI. Once I joined the FOI, felt the unity, and my brother ain't heavy, as they say. Man,
Yes,
brother, there's nothing that we couldn't do. And
sir.
we had to fill the dome in 92. And the dome was brand new. And I would have fit 50,000, something, 70,000. And the World Series was going on at the same time. And we filled the Georgia Dome. We had more people in the Georgia Dome than they had at the World Series.
Yes, sir. Allahu Akbar.
Crazy to Allah. Allahu Akbar. So Stop the Killing, the minister really set the tone in the 90s. And we got prepared for the Million Man March. And all we did was soldier every day preparing for the Million Man March. Shout out to brother Minister Van Muhammad too, and Captain Sadiq.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And of course, eventually Sister Dr. Ava came here, brother Minister Jamil, and Minister Rockman was there, brother Khalid, Mr. Tony, your father. So praise be to Allah for all these powerhouses in Atlanta. And we was working with at the First Iconium, as we do even today.
Yes,
we
sir.
still
Yes,
have
sir.
that relationship. That's where we had the Million Man March, the LOC, the local organizing committee. We organized every week. And when we got to the Million Man March, it was heaven, And again, this is what I was going to say. When the minister said, I'm going to bring 1 million men to DC, I said, damn, what if we don't do it?
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? What if we can't? Then to see the doubt, brother. But then later I heard him say that. It came out my mouth and I was like, whoa, right? Then he said, now we had to reach out, right? And make it happen and do it. And brother, we were blessed to get our people up out there, And it was a great sea of humanity, of Black men, responsibility. And that was a day I'll never forget. We beat the odds to make me, I became a true believer. I said, man, I don't think there's nothing but the minister can do with the elbow of Allah. So we beat the odds. Instead of 1 million, we got 2 million.
Yes, sir.
We were out there early, brother, like 5 a.m. We got out there. So we see the crowd and everything grow. And it was beautiful love, brother, a sea of love. The Black man greeting one another in peace and love and respect, and us taking our pledges under the direction of an Honorable Minister Min Farrakhan to atone for our actions
Yes, sir.
as
Yes, sir.
for ourselves and our women and children. And that impacted the world. And that was the largest gathering, I believe, in the world, especially in North America. And I remember even President Clinton left DC because of the march. Everybody left. They canceled everything. Because the minister said, I remember he said he wanted to do it like on a work day, on a Monday. He didn't want to have it on a weekend. He specifically wanted it on like a work day, where people could sacrifice and come. And that's what we did. And Brother Minister gave a beautiful message, and that's when I learned the humility, more aspects of his humility, because he could have really took that moment for himself. Not really just for himself, but even for us in the nation. He could be like, oh, y'all come join the temple right now. Fly to Allah, fill out your letter, write your letter.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But him and his wisdom and teaching again all the human families of the planet Earth, right? He teaches all the human families of the planet Earth. And so he laid out the foundation just for that, to drop that seed. And we see how it's manifesting today, how, inshallah, it will manifest in the future, be it the will of Allah. But it was a beautiful event. It was good to see, as a result of the work put in and the backing of Allah, it was good to see that vision become a reality. And on that day, we made a bond, and there still is a bond. Like Spike Lee made a movie about it, and many different marches came about. The Million Youth March, the Million Woman March,
Yes, sir.
Million Mom March. Everybody got a million something. We had to thank Brother Farrakhan for that, who was inspired by Allah and Honorable Allah's mom.
Praise be to Allah. And thank you very much, Dr. Leslie. Brother Wakeel Allah, for your time. Some people,
brother, that's my brother. We wanted the same.
Yes, sir. And I'm saying
some
people keep texting me. Some people keep texting me these questions. Thank you all, your responses. My sisters, both my sisters said powerful. Brother Maurice said this. Thank you very much. This is powerful. It's beautiful. And thank you all for people who write comments in a respectful way, not giving me instructions. Brother DeVisi wants you to know that he was there with you.
Look, definitely the great Dr. DeVisi, one of the most powerful brothers and most intelligent brothers there with us. Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Now, out of all this time, music industry, coming from Jersey to Atlanta, traveling the world, has there ever been a time that you faced fear? And if so, how did you overcome that fear?
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and then I heard this also said by Honorable Mr. Min Farrakhan, said that if you have fear, pray to Allah to remove that fear.
Yes, sir.
Right? And I wasn't necessarily coming from the 5% tradition. We weren't necessarily prayerful in a sense, in the ritualistic sense.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But when I heard the minister say that I said, any fear that I have left, because coming up as a Black man in America, you were at constant war. And then when you're coming into the knowledge of Islam, I always say in order to be what I am, jokingly, we always say you got to be half crazy because, meaning that you don't really have that much fear.
Yes, sir.
So I've already faced circumstances. As we are taught in the Nation of Islam, you will normally be tried once a year.
Yes, sir. Yes,
in some cases, brother, I say sometimes I'm at the point of no return. There's no turning back. I might have been tried and maybe not even realized it because I've accepted, my life, my death, my sacrifice, it's all for Allah, the Lord of all of the worlds. And like I said, that lesson, have you not learned that your word shall be bond, regardless to whom or what? It resonated. And when I heard Brother Farrakhan, as many of us has heard him in the wisdom of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, at a young age, that's it. You converted,
Yes, sir.
So
yes, sir.
I became a convert, like almost on the spot that I believe.
Yes, sir.
Like I said, and nothing has waned, nothing has changed. So, and I hope that would be for the remaining of my years, that I'll live and die the death of a Muslim. So that's one of my greatest desires.
Okay, wonderful. What do you do for fun, Brother Wakeel?
This right here, brother. What we do for fun, teaching in a sense has always been a job, but it's always fun. And you get so happy when you see somebody reclaim the knowledge of themselves.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You get so excited. You know, I'm teaching, and I teach informally, so I teach a lot of people. You know, just teaching them. Whether I'm on the phone teaching them, or they write me, or whatever, email me, or through the internet. So I still teach people and get people off pork and stuff like that.
Yes,
So
sir.
I just had a young student that stopped eating pork and so excited and called me like, look, I ain't eating no pork in a month. You know, and I'm doing good. And he'd be so happy, you know, to the point, brother. He'd just be so full of joy. So Brother Minister said that at the great Minister Abdul Rahman Muhammad's janazah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know, if you wanna, as far as grieving for our brothers and sisters that have passed and transitioned, he said the best thing to deal with that is to do the work of the person that transitioned. You know,
Yes,
because
sir.
in the work, you will become connected, you know, to the point that, you know, like I said, brother, and like I said, his word is bond. You know, I'm not speaking any, I'm not dealing with no hyperbole or anything when I say that I love what you're doing. And I'm like, cause you know, brother, I was interviewing people and stuff like that. Like I said, I'm the kind of person that's like, you know what, somebody else do it, great, fantastic. Now I'm like, oh, Brother Joshua's interviewing people. Allah, I might just do something else, right? Brother Joshua's doing it. So when I see you,
can we talk about you? Can we talk about your podcast? Are you going to keep doing it? I mean, what's going on with you?
You know, everybody asked that, and yes, inshallah, we were trying to think of something around that, and I may do it around the fifth element. That's what I'm talking about, that fifth element. So we may, because you know, brother, when you look at the different podcasts, right, especially the ones that have national platforms and national attention, you'll see that it's usually other than us that has the podcast.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
People on there, and our people are looking crazy sometimes. You know, when you got to have somebody that genuinely, honestly loves the people to interview the people, and that's why I believe you are successful and you have the trust of the people because you have a track record, brother. You know what I mean? And you have a genuine love. You and I were on a plane together going to Savior's Day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You like Brother Wakeel? Come on the show, yes, sir. Yes, absolutely, yes, sir. Brother. So yes, I'm gonna do the podcast again. I probably have to do a video podcast. Yes, but there's other things too in the workings. But I will always deal with our history, interview our people, and try to inform our people through the experiences of others, you know, because life experience is the best experience, as they say. So yes, sir. In the podcast that I had the podcast in dealing with the 5%ers show.
Yes, sir.
They would have the Allah team show.
Yes, sir. I used to listen.
Yes, sir. Then we have the well, I started out the FOI. I did the book, The History of the FOI. Yes, sir. And the sister's like, well, why you ain't mention the sisters? Like I said earlier, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, you know. So I guess I have to deal with the sisters there. Yes, sir. I still have that vision, like, oh well, sisters over here, brothers over here, right? Yes, sir. So then I had the History of the Nation of Islam series, right? So I still have those, but then I have the fifth element because we have discussions with a lot of brothers and sisters that have influence, fears of influence within the entertainment industry. Yes, sir. And, yes, sir. Part of the element is dealing with that. You know, yeah, it's so many brothers and sisters that have been influenced by the Nation of Islam, that claim Islam. And many of us were very excited and happy with this latest release of the album, A Written Testimony. Yes, by sir. Jay Electronica. Yes, sir. It was a powerful surprise that we had our great brother Jay-Z. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And some of the great things he said. And man, it's a powerful album. Yes, sir. And normally we are blessed to be involved in different processes in the creative process too, around that, because we all inspire one another. For that particular project, as you know, you had the great Imam Sultan, the brother Dr. Wasi Muhammad,
Yes,
that
sir.
assisted the Arabic aspect of that. And this is all public, so I can speak on it,
Yes,
because
sir.
this is all written about, and they themselves have already manifested this. Then you had our great sister, the great Beyonce, Queen Bey.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Then just the powerful, the way the album opens up, it opens up, you know, with the star of the album,
That's right. That's right. That's
or
right.
the minister.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The children of Israel. And so it was great to hear, Jay Electronica and Jay-Z manifest that wisdom, brother.
Praise be to Allah.
Allah put the pandemic on us all.
Yes, sir.
We
Yes,
all
sir. Yes, sir.
quarantine and just absorbing and feeding off the words,
Yes, sir.
um, of course, of the time and what must be done, and very instructional information that we're getting every Sunday from headquarters with the great brother minister Ishmael Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
So now I think we can put a lot of focus on the time, and what must be done. But many of these artists all have been inspired, even some that, like I said, you wouldn't even think were inspired, had Muslim roots. I remember, and I guess I can say this, I remember meeting 2 Chainz for the first time.
Yes, sir.
We was building on something, and I was like, because I thought I said something to him, we was at a function, that I thought he probably didn't want to hear. And I was like, wait a minute, because that was unusual, like, oh, wait a minute. This is the first time I heard somebody may not be attracted to the information that's on the regular route. But then come to find out, he was like, nah, I am. He said, my name is Boom.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Name. And he's like, my father, and he went into it. I was like, oh, okay. But this is before he would call himself 2 Chainz.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Like, Titty Boy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He had that album out. And that brother is powerful.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Nas is powerful. Swizz Beats and all these brothers. Busta Rhymes, wise, intelligent. Man, brother, all of them Common, all of them Most Def, all these brothers, Talib Kweli, everybody, brother, very powerful. And so I plan probably to do more work in that arena, speaking about their spirituality. Like you had the great Erica, but I love what Swizz is doing with the verses, right?
Me too.
Then you see our brother. I don't know if you saw this, but I don't know. Well, yeah, it's so much stuff I can say, but yeah, it's a lot of brothers and sisters that are very powerful dealing with it, and now you hear the language more, and you're going to start to hear it more, I believe. Yes, and that's a result of the work, I think that we're doing, and those ancestors before us have done.
Praise be to Allah.
But we can't quit 5 minutes before the miracle.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Beautiful. Okay, well, Brother Wakeel, what has been your greatest trial in your tenure growing up, and how have you overcome that trial?
I'm the kind of person, the way I'm built, and all the brothers around me, my close brothers, will probably say the same of me. Because if somebody wrongs me or something like that, not that I'll forget it, but I'll almost forget it. You know what I mean? Whereas I just have a certain level of love and compassion for our people. Whereas, as Honorable Mr. Min Farrakhan told us, per what he got from Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who we got from Allah in person, to take plenty,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So any trial to me normally is this everyday experience, so I'm the kind of person that's not shocked by a lot, because we already signed up for this. We had a knowledge of self. And once we read Fall of America and the Holy Quran, as we've done during this Ramadan,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Anything can happen. We in the midst of a pandemic, so this is a trial.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Just like, to me, it's just like before the pandemic. So it's kind of like, okay, any day, anything could happen. But I have been tried for sure. And I always joke, and people will joke on it too, as it relates to me. No good deed goes unpunished, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So yeah, so I deal a lot in a sense with that. And because of my work, if you got anything out in the public arena out there, it'll be praised and criticized. So I have very staunch critics, trolls, internet trolls, I get threats and stuff, you get all kinds of stuff. You deal with all kind of stuff. But, as we was taught in the street, the one thing that Clarence 13 exit to say, well, bring it on, lollipop. You know what I mean? Bring it on, brother. You got beef.
Yes, sir.
It is what it is. We here for it. We there for a while. So it's kind of like we teach and we instruct everybody. We're very lenient. So any trial, I come into the understanding of that, that is the trial, and Allah will see us through the trial. And I believe Allah will see me through any trial. And again, if Allah doesn't, my life and death and sacrifice is all for Allah, the Lord of all of the worlds. That's something that I have accepted. But I'm so excited that I have lived the amount of years that I've lived, brother. So I'm happy. Every day on the planet, I'm happy. So even if it's a bad day, it's a good day. And as you see, the Honorable Mr. Min Farrakhan, as he goes through his trials and tribulations, man, brother. The Honorable Mr. Min Farrakhan just turned 87, right? 1933. Yeah, 87. And
yes, sir.
Look at the work he does, brother. Man. He took away every excuse from every brother.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
But there's no excuses you can give.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Once you see the work he does.
Yes, sir. I just have a few. I see you all's comments and thank you all. But I just have a few more questions for you, sir. Do you mind?
Oh, yes, sir. No problem, brother.
Okay, yes, sir. What has been your greatest joy?
Again, brother, it's the same. Like, I hate to sound one everybody, this brother is a zealot. And we all zealots.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, brother, my greatest joy exists.
Okay. Okay, beautiful.
But now, and I say that to say this, of course, it's dealing with the human families of the planet Earth. I'm dealing with my people, my family, there's the greatest joys, and then the brotherhood, the sisterhood, and just enjoying this beautiful planet. I've been blessed to travel the world, to see the world. There's more parts of the world that I want to see. As we say, we have an eternal saying in our law team, in a sense, that there's nowhere else for us to go. We've met, we got the number one man on the planet, our opinion is Brother Farrakhan. So we with God's man. Where else we gonna go? Besides that, in the entertainment world, the greatest entertainers, then, we know the elites in the elite world from all human families, including, the white world, because many of them are attracted to the knowledge. Many of them are attracted on the entertainment side. Then, of course, last but definitely not least, the brother and sister in the community. We in tune with the brothers and sisters in the community. We Black in America. And even though it has its challenges, like a t-shirt says, I wouldn't want to be anything else but Black here in America, because we are the chosen people of God, the real children of Israel. Hey, man, that right there makes me happy. Even knowing if I die today, even knowing that the Nation of Islam is going to make it, I die happy, man. So
beautiful.
It's win-win, brother. It's win-win.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna write a book, personal life, like your journey, like just so we can know you, not like a history book about 5% of the FOI, like an autobiography, if you would.
Um, I don't know. I don't know if for whatever reason, if it serves a purpose, uh, probably. Um, but no, I have no intention at all. But if I was to write something, it would be about, you know, my brothers and sisters. You know, it's just that's just how I am,
Okay. So,
and maybe my involvement with it. But it would be like in all of my books. I'm not just the author, but everybody that got a statement in there, you know. So you might got in one of my books, I may have 100 different references, you know, well, 400 or 500, you know, references, right? So that's how many people are just involved in it, and that's kind of what my life would be. It would be about the village, you know, because the first thing that we learn about the knowledge of self is the knowledge of others, and the knowledge of yourself is your own kind too. And the 5%. The one thing that Brother Clarence 13X gave us was Supreme Mathematics and the Supreme Alphabet, which is something that's a great tool to use, especially as a young person.
yes,
It's
sir.
almost like a glossary of terms and definitions that you find in the language of the teachings of Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And the 19th degree, if you will, of the Supreme Alphabet is S. S is the 19th letter, you know, and that's self or savior. And you hear Honorable Elijah Muhammad talk about self-savior theology at time. And
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
in the definition of self-savior, it says self is the true reality of one, also kind when advocated for the same cause, you know. So to know myself is to know my brother. That's why what I want for myself, I want for my brother. And every
Yes,
time I
sir.
look
Yes,
at my
sir.
brother, as we say in the Nation of Islam, I'm looking at a reflection of myself. And Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, every time I look at a black man, I'm looking at God. So
Allahu Akbar.
the first commandment is what? From our brother,
Yes,
Jesus,
sir.
to
Yes, sir.
Esau.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Love
sir.
God with all your heart.
Yes,
Love
sir.
yourself, love your family, love your people, and love those who have the same common cause that are dealing with freedom, teaching, freedom, justice, and equality.
Beautiful.
Yes,
What do you want your legacy to be, Brother Wakil?
that's a good question, brother. I don't these things. I don't really think of myself too much. And a lesson that I'm learning from here, brother, from this interview is that I need to give myself some thought. You know what I mean? I need to think about what I'm gonna do. Because like I said, I'm always thinking about, and that's my name, you know, Wakil. You know, a Wakil, and I got that name, you know, when I was 13, 14 years old, and I just kept the name, and I love the name because I think part of it does, not part of it, all of it, from what I know, resonates with me. You know, it's a trustee, like somebody you can trust to manage your affairs. So I'm constantly one. Um, and I just say this because, you know, speak the truth regardless of whom or what. I don't want to sound like I'm trying to be arrogant or nothing like that. Um, but that's my reputation as one that can be trusted to manage others' affairs. And if you kind of built like that, you know, you think a lot of others, you know, and you think of
Mm,
yourself as an
mm.
instrument in a sense to be used to help facilitate others. And within that, if you are built for that, you get a joy out of that, you know. So I'm usually in the background, you know. So the brothers that I'm with are all, you know, much more popular than I am. And then you got some brothers that's
Mm,
even in the
mm, mm,
background
mm,
of what I'm doing. And they really play the background, but are extremely
mm,
powerful.
mm.
We are all equal. Um,
Allahu
so
Akbar.
yeah, I think my legacy is, as we say in the Nation of Islam, these things sound like cliche, but it's the truth. The number one title that I want, you know, is brother and Muslim. Um, and
Mhm.
in that, you know, I think I'll be known as a human being. And if you're righteous, you'll impact somebody down the line. So I may not write on myself, but somebody may mention me somewhere down the line. So that may
Yes, sir.
happen,
Yes, sir. Yes,
brother.
sir.
But yes, but the legacy is that I love my people, and I was willing to sacrifice for my people and share the information that I believe is valuable to our people. And the most valuable thing I think is the word of God. That's not necessarily something that's extremely religious, but it can be proven in no limited time. And in North
That's right. That's
America,
right. That's right.
all of the people have done that. So yeah, so we've all been influenced by the teachings that started right there in Black Bottom, Michigan, that was shared with us with the stranger who came,
Yes,
his name
sir. Yes,
Wallace.
sir.
They said that means
Yes,
hey.
sir.
They said by the time he left, some referred to him as Wali, right? The friend, your friend, your best friend. So yes, sir.
Okay, excellent. If you have anything that you're working on that you want to tell us that we can support you with.
Well, with the existing, like the existing, what I have, because people always ask me, when are you going to write volume 2 of the
Yes,
history of
sir.
the
Yes, sir.
Nation
Yes,
of
sir.
Islam? Not joking. I say, well, when they accept the first one.
Yes, sir. How can we get
So,
that, Brother Wakeel? How can we order that?
the name of the now I just gonna have to refer to it, but it's the history of the Nation of Islam, Volume 1. So this is the book, that brothers and sisters can pick up if they want to know the early history of the Nation of Islam as told by the pioneers themselves and those that was there. So it was all written firsthand by those that was there, including some of the letters of Master Farad Muhammad, of course, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, his family, Sister Clara Muhammad, the first
Yes,
national
sir.
laborers, some of the first converts, the students of Master Farad Muhammad and Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So the book goes from 1930 to 1950, and it's really a good foundation. Like I said, history is best qualified to what I research is the most
Yes, sir. Yes,
attractive.
sir.
So it also says it acts powerfully on the destinies of human beings, and this is part of our destiny. So we have to learn our history, and from that,
Absolutely.
brother, comes greatness. So they can get that on Amazon, or they can go directly to our website, theallahteam.com / books. So allahteam.com / books. I have it on there, but it's on Amazon. It's pretty much on all the platforms. And then, of course, I have In the Name of Allah, the book, or the history of the 5%ers, volume 1 and the volume 2. And I think
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
definitely that marriage of the 5%ers and the Nation of Islam, that I think definitely is a valuable tool to have and to read. And the thing that I like
Absolutely.
about this is it show you what, like we always say, well, if you love Brother Farrakhan, if you love Malcolm X, if you love Muhammad Ali, you should love the teacher, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, right? Because he the one that made all these powerful people. And us understanding that, then we look at students and who the students inspired, other students. So I think this is a great narrative and an adventure of what, one FOI or a couple of FOI and MGT could do, out in the community. Just knocking on the doors, hey brother, how you doing? Buy somebody a cup of coffee, whatever it may be.
Yes, sir.
Right? Just like Ramadan, do charitable acts.
Yes, sir.
Deal with equality. And that's one of the first things I learned in Islam, by the way. As a young person, I was like stingy. So I had kind of the spirit of being stingy because, it wasn't that you got a lot, coming up, coming up. It wasn't like we had whatever we wanted to get.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And when I came into Islam, like that thing where we say, if you got a bowl of soup, then your brother has half of that bowl of soup. That was like
Yes, sir.
literal. So when I saw brothers 13 or 14 sharing what they had to eat with me, if I didn't have any money, I said, oh man, I'm with this right here, So yes, sir. So very powerful. This is a very powerful adventure. And so I have the books. Then of course, inshallah, I'll be dealing with the Fifth Element, that podcast, and
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
bring back the narrative, the 5%ers, the history of the Nation of Islam, the Allah Team show, and and also just probably helping out in the entertainment industry from a business perspective. Yeah, working with brothers and sisters in that community, and also from a spiritual perspective. For sure, primarily, will probably be my role in working with brothers and sisters, and just continue with our publications. 18 Publishing, working with brother Dr. Wesley Muhammad, brother Malud Sadiq Allah, brother Understanding Allah, brother J Electronica, brother Law, Lawrence X Parker, all of our community, brother Allah Malik, who's Minister Michael of Atlantic City, Minister Michael T. Muhammad, the
Okay, yes,
great
sir.
number 10, the great brother Minister Randy Muhammad, Boston number 11,
Yes, sir.
working with brother Minister Henry Muhammad, inshallah, being more involved. I'm here in Atlanta right now,
Yes, sir.
being more involved here in Atlanta and getting some of that expertise and great, powerful information from your father, the great minister.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir.
Who was so inspiring, brother, because in having the conversations with him and just his ability to organize and to create businesses and the knack for that. You know what I mean? And he's such a self-starter. Beloved brother. With the Captain Oliver. Atlanta is such a beautiful place that I love being here. Now I can travel back and forth. But I really love Atlanta and still have roots, in Atlanta. It's a beautiful place, brother. And so the podcast, I don't know if it'll be here. It might be here in Atlanta, where I'm at now, or it could be up in New York, New Jersey, or maybe Chicago. So it depends, or it could just be traveling like this, because this is how you can do it. You don't even need a studio, and especially now with the quarantine, you really don't need it.
Yes, sir.
So yes, sir. So that'd be the books, the literature, and inshallah, I'm going to do more books for sure. I might have some smaller projects as it relates to books. Then I'll tackle the History of Nation Islam, Volume 2, which will go from 1950 to 1975, Volume 3 from 1976 on to the present. Yes, sir. And just really trying to lend our expertise in the Nation of Islam and nation building and what needs to be done. Because it's such a powerful potential in the Nation of Islam. We're in every community. We have, it's like the lesson. And some people lessons in the Lost Muslim lesson number 1. It's a 6 question normally with the lessons that we have.
Yes, sir.
Why does the devil call our people African and talks about the slave trader?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Set up a trading post on the continent. Well, we have a righteous trading post in each city,
yes, sir,
called the mosque in each city,
yes,
which
sir.
really is centers, like the national center.
Yes,
It's
sir.
mosque.
Yes, sir.
It's Mosque Mariam. It's mosque number 2, but it's also the national center.
Yes, sir.
And there's other centers. So the mosque, in a sense, is the center of the city. It's like a settlement, like it says in the problem book.
Yes, sir.
So it's not even necessarily the mosque, it's the city. So you're the minister of the mosque, you're the minister of a mosque, you're a minister over a city, right?
Yes,
so
sir. Yes, sir.
outside of the confines of the 4 walls that we have, and we need to get to the point where we can just build even better what we currently have. And every year, isn't it great at Savior's Day, the graduation? I'm so happy that
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
that. That's one of the joys, brother. Seeing that. Brothers and sisters looking good, man.
Yes, sir.
Sharp, polished, clean, bright.
Yes, sir. Yes,
That's the
sir.
way the mosque. Yes, sir. So those are the things, brother. And I'm on social media. Wakeel, Wakeel, Allah. So all my social media, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And really, I'm not that much almost active on mine as I should be, because I also work in conjunction from my digital marketing perspective. And well, a lot of people know this, some people don't. But of course, I have the law team, and then we have the 5%ers platform, Then we have the Black Muslim Cultural Renaissance platform. So me and Brother
Okay.
Wesley, together started that, the Black Muslim Cultural Renaissance. You may see that, and that's dealing with the culture of all of
Okay.
us.
I never. I didn't know that was you. I didn't know that was you.
Yes, brother. So,
Yes, sir.
and
I
it's
didn't
a
know that
group
was
of
you. I
us.
didn't know
Now,
that was you.
all of those are powered by the Allah team, if you will. So those platforms. Then of course Dr. Wesley Muhammad. So yeah, so you'll see I more so deal a lot on that end too. So I'm heavily involved in that side. So I'll be working with the branding with the law team in the Black Muslim Culture Renaissance. And with the 5%ers, we are we always wanted to have an event, and Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan spoke to this, whereas we'll have a gathering with the 5%ers, brothers and sisters, in the Nation of Islam. We were going to do it, and inshallah, ultimately we'll be able to do it. And we, of course, wanted Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan to speak to the brothers and sisters, which he said publicly, he would do. And of course, he desires to do that because of the connection that's there. Since a great marriage. And inshallah, we'll do that with the Nation of Islam and the 5%ers, which also includes the family of Brother Clarence 13X Smith, the Smith family. They're all in the Nation of Islam. So like Brother Clarence come from the Nation of Islam. So they identify as Nation of Islam, Muslim, and 5%. So they'll be heavily involved with the aspect of the 5%ers platform in some of these movements around that, and preserving the legacy and the history of Brother Clarence 13X Smith, the Father Allah. Because that's his name. His name in the mosque in the temple, Brother Clarence 13X, when he was outside of the temple, started teaching his students. Well, before he started teaching, he took on the name Allah, then they called him the Father. So you hear all those names, street name Puddin', honorable name Clarence Smith, Muslim name Clarence 13X, and the founder of the 5% is Allah the Father. And whatever else we can do. So, and I work, I always got my hand in some pot out here, brother, doing a lot of different things. I do a lot of different things, work with a lot of different elements. Like I said, more in the background. And one of the things I want to shout out is Brother Bernard, Brother Bernard Kushmir.
Yes, sir.
And Brother Bernard, I remember, being at his place when he first created the Final Call online. And when he did, and that's the Million Man March. How can I forget that? 1994, 1995 is when Bernard introduced me to the internet. Hey man, you familiar with this? We in there, Bernard, he was at college, I believe, taking up computer science at Morehouse. And so he was like, this right here is the future. Websites, boom, boom, boom. He was like, and I'm doing this for the nation. Doing the Final Call online and the nationofislam.org. So he did that. Brother Bernard Kushner did that. And
I see him backstage every year, save his name.
Yeah, to this day he do it. So he's very instrumental. And I like brainstorming with him on that side. And I always felt like, man, you know what? I would like to be dedicated on that side, on the digital side, with all these different ideas. Yes, sir.
Beautiful. Well,
trying to keep up with you, Brother Joshua.
Yes, sir. Brother Wakeel, please, I want to thank you for your sacrifice. Thank your family for their sacrifice. And we just want to continue to support and show love. That you do such a good job of bridging everything and just being by just your personality and your energy that anytime I have a
let me say this too, brother, because I don't know why. Let me say this because I can't leave this out. Because I spoke about the 5%ers, spoke about the Nation of Islam, but we also do a lot of work with the community of Imam W.D. Muhammad too. So in my research, I'm constantly working with the brothers of the masjids throughout the country. We just recently had the passing of one of our beloved elders, Brother Osman Sharif. also known as Brother Frank 9X.
Yes, sir, I saw that.
They call him from out of Newark.
Yes, sir.
And that was mosque number 25, now known as Masjid Ali K Muslim on South Orange Avenue. So even the brothers here at the Masjid,
Yes, sir.
Atlanta Masjid of Al Islam. So, because we said bridge the gap, that's one of the things that we do. So we kind of intersect, the, of course, Nation of Islam community, 5% community, then like under Imam W.D. Muhammad, I guess someone would say Bilalian community, then even like the Sunni community. So that's always funny because my name is Wakeel Allah, which is like sacrilege in some cases. But this is what I found out in visiting these different masters, because at first I was like, let me go in here, let me just tell them, let me share with them Black Arabia, the African origin of Islam. Brother Dr. West Muhammad, profound book. And I would go in these different masjids in the country, and I would tell them about the book, and they was already familiar with Brother Dr. West Muhammad. And I didn't realize that they too was familiar with me, because like I said, I'm not thinking about me, I'm thinking about my brother and the work that he could do to help prolong, the efforts and just my profound brothers and sisters that I have around me. And they was like, well, my brother, you wrote that book on the 5%ers, didn't you? They had a book on the Nation of Islam. Brother, where that book? I was like, I didn't bring that with. That's outside the car.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
After a few trips, I learned to bring that with me. Because then I learned that all these brothers and sisters in the Sunni community or the Orthodox Muslim community, and of course the Bilalian community or the followers of Imam W.D. Muhammad, all have origins in the Nation of Islam. And sometimes on the outward appearance, you wouldn't think that.
That's right.
But their mind and their heart was still there. That's kind of once there for a while, always there for a while. Once an MGT,
yes, sir.
Always an MGT. It is good being around those brothers and sisters because they often talk about what they learned through the Nation of Islam and how they still regard themselves as such. So I do a lot of work over there too. And I love hearing, the brothers and sisters speaking of their experiences with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan came to Newark, and he didn't come to Masjid, I don't believe. If he did, I wasn't aware of it. But we all were there. Minister Ishmael, of course, Imam Sultan, our great dear brother Imam Sultan, Abdul Rahman.
Yes, sir.
So through learning from them, and we're all connected, like we're all family at the end of the day. All these different communities, we literally have family ties, like blood related.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We're together, and that's part of the Black Muslim cultural renaissance. We're together. This generation is together. We're not tripping. We're not set tripping. Yeah, right. We're not set tripping, brother. Praise be to Allah. So it is about the unity.
Okay. Thank you, sir, and thank you for keeping up the pray. That's right. Right. Well, please keep up the great work, Brother Wakeel, and thank you again for Brother Wakeel Allah, and thank you for coming on the People's Podcast. Thank you all for watching. Like, subscribe, and share. We're gonna put this on YouTube. And Brother Wakeel, I'll talk to you offline, because anything that you're doing that I can help and be a part of, I'm trying to support.
Yes, sir. Thank you, beloved. And likewise, brother, always inspired by the work that you do. And the theatrical work is what I want to get more in tune with. What you doing, brother.
I got some coming. I got something coming, bro.
Yes, sir,
I got something coming.
Because you asked me one thing, what do I enjoy? I enjoy plays, brother. Which is rare.
Okay, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I do enjoy that, brother. Yes, sir.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you all for watching, and love you, Brother Wakeel. And
yes, sir. Love you too, Brother Joshua. Wa alaikum salam.